Page 352. A being seen still under karma of Trukma. Christina held his gaze with magnetic eyes, push-pulling his focus into paying attention with inward and without, in a word, freedom. In that I am genetically as a breakout badass, her wave of a YI of evil, of her him it will. A wheel turning into it, or why her eyes eye on him of it. Her him it, y'all, in that eye is appearing and gazing it. There is only following instinct, and that instinct leads me in a being seen in word memory in her eyes of everybody turning that black around now out knowing him. That inward spell is millenniums in the making, a split second in its destroying. Either y'all break it, break out of it a while now, break bad as a being seen still that indivisible invisibility of anybody still in the first place free in the word freedom, us Inca's cosmic awareness of it, or, why a being seen in her eyes now as Ka, now knowing, turning it out in denial of one, a YI of a being seen as thoughts, of it in toward a twisting that black around any roles, playing out denial of it in formation. Man, that you are raped by his being alienation as X, y'all. As two or 12 twisting on here in her eye, Mary Black around, seducing him into killing her or birthing him into a alternative. Slave or alien warrior priest, monotheism, that inward cult, cultivating the one wordship, as sailing off, as existing amid gods, as a dogma with mirrored gravity weight of the Gudabuka. Bobbing, existing, kind in the beginning is the supersonic light word, but following quickly comes a heavy buka, a hookah de luka. Veda no weight, Veda supersonic, waiting for Ma's Veda. Knowing Veda is becoming Veda, is a being seen Veda. El Kebe, the one who sees. My supersonic Veda trumps his supersonics with intent of appearing out in for Ma's a while, a cunning inward deceit generated by the time Machina inform as hieroglyphic, hieratic, Hebraic, phonographic, Greco-Roman alphabet spelling. Spelling y'all out in word a while now, turning black into and white they out of knowing that indivisible invisibility. Of such an ingenious, cleverly conceived act by Jesus, appearing supernaturally as any thoughts, generated by waves of everybody, waves of the invention of supersonic 3D, QB Buka, at indivisible attention as Ka now knowing, turning into a binary consciousness. The marvelous Khan of Shiasness, of a being Jesus, a gravity merely appearing as X, y'all, in L mode of inward wave function of funny action. A creation created by our own mirror duplicity. A being seen now conned by our every own unconsciousness. A by now denying as Ka now knowing out of it, a being still in why you are y'all I mode, completely free of any inward captivity. Freedom and word freedom awareness still, in a while at the same sometime now turning into or out of anybody, as Ka now knowing it out, projecting positive negation by as thoughts, turning, churning, burning around the race of that, we all, a wheel turning out of or black into one indivisible invisibility. Chidogwe, seduction of it in her eyes, ion of everybody. lag around into or out of her, me as her emit, indivisible, indivisibility, yet still instilled with that intoward intent. Here, her wave function of funny action. She not funny that wave of wave ray as a ma tricks, ma's tricky ray body. Then he, Warrena, drags around a single heavily revised, rewritten, retold history, the Buka, my Veda of the abiding, overstaying, understanding mind, or why many tens of thousands sutras plain, supersonically combing the waves of my heart, brain, in cosmic comic 5D to perceive the stare-eye story, and to be told, yet to be told. Christina laid the words out in modulating frequencies, echoing that black around out in her eyes, I on him, hearing it. Her emit, hearth plan et, Y ABC plan X etting of it. The exogeneity of any ex hodis, the fall as leap black into a unconsciousness, a being of it still in paruma with intent to awaken Atman, a being still parama Atman. With that revelation, Moore wondered what Warren could possibly have in store to stop picking up on a being seen still indivisible invisibility. Still in a being beaming, a scene of a eye of you or me, in our reality, that I am betting that a eye stare of it will be a realized here in her eye of everybody. Sooner or later, Tater, Moore added with a laugh. Is the spell spelled out in the papyri? Moore asked, eyes diverted by a shooting star, blazing out a trail of sparking cinders. In archaeology, you rarely make a find that makes sense of all the pieces. In that I am confessing to using certain psychoactive drugs to realize the key, ask I, turning to unlocking this 3,300 plus year old mystery, along with thousands of tightly focused hours absorbing and contemplating scripture, both on parchment, hide, or stone, and in the mirror mind, reflecting inward reflection of it. Then, staring at some letter forms, comparing the Dead Sea Scrolls to the Tutankhamun papyri, it hit me. Eureka. The clues, the structure of the letters, the Hebrew alphabetic scripture were only fingers pointing to the thing. The thing, Moore asked, as she now adjusted her weight. The thing of it is, that awareness of it being seen in that eye, a memory is appearing and gazing it out in word. Now, as God knowing out of it into appearing of it. The thing of it is, as mirrored in toward a twisting into of it as any thoughts of it, information of such. For however much we all may turn into imagining, projecting, and knowing denial of it, words, symbols, even ideas cannot go there beyond awareness of a being seen still in the word freedom, us, in the first place, found invisibility of any individual. Iha nana nastikim chana. Here diversity is not, in the very least of us. Here out in her eyes, indivisible alone, invisibility as zany or everybody. Merely mirrored appearing, etc., etc., etc. Words point it out of there as any measly, scant-emaciated thinking of it. Yet, there is here, in a word freedom awareness, a being seen still at attention, silent, indivisible invisibility. Consider for a moment any identity in a name alone. That identity is based on a completely arbitrary name given by parents without a clue who we all may turn into or out of ABCs of being seen in the first place. That arbitrary notional name sets up a moment to momentum, lifetime after lifetime of inward self deceit, a self duplicity. Why, y'all, identity as existing purely supernaturally, y'all, as any thoughts of it. In a Y, I merely appearing engaging it as X per I and seeing through any untoward mirror, y'all, now out appearing of it, out information hardwired neurocellularly in any or E-ray bodies, blood and bone field of view. Are all touching, instantaneous touching, cosmic microwave background echoing as two beings, as thoughts of it inform my eyes, appearing of it out a while, still a being seeing indivisible invisibility. Page 354. There's any mere why now there? Denial, a mere why appearing of it a while now as X? He asked as she now moved away. The drone of a helicopter shook the air, sweeping over the bay and flatlands. From a black speck with blinking lights grew a whirling hulk of intimidation, hovering in on the rooftop, blasting gravel and debris into a whirlwind. I've seen that chopper before the day Corner showed at the Flying V, he shouted, trying to get to his feet. The machine reached a deafening tone, whipping up more dust and gravel, pebbles, until lifting black away, circling over, then soaring off, its cacophony swallowed up in the buzz of traffic on the 880 expressway, just as another moving star. Warren's boys, said Christina. Warren was born into a family famous as inventors of war machines. His whole scheme may be due to some misplaced attempt to atone for all that. Spoken like a true philosopher. Fool that I am, she said, walking over to help him up. He gathered her in his arms and kissed her neck, her cheek, her lips. That I am that fool, he replied. A fool feeling such joy against such a background of sorrow is mind-blowing. I gots to tell you. I gots to have you, but I can't. What do you mean? She asked, pushing away. I had a crazy dream about somebody wanting me to mate with you, and it seemed like some kind of evil deed that, well, sort of freaked me out. Especially when you were giving me that look earlier. Christina burst out with a laugh. Why, I do declare, you sure those fish are still swimming upstream? An old fart like you and all? There may be snow on the mountain. The steel door banged open as Christina and Enzokia joined them on the roof. She walked over and gave Moore a long embrace. He tasted salt as he brushed his lips across her cheek. He wanted to keep her close, stretching the moment. The moment passed. Corner has been waylaid, but he will be along, Christina said. I thought you'd say he was dead, Moore replied. I thought he was going to pull the trigger on me, but Fawn Rave, Enoch Squeeze, shot him with a taser, she added, giving Christina a sister's embrace. How did she come into the picture? There was a fight at Enoch's after you left. He killed Ashimi and Corner killed him, then kidnapped her. I'm responsible for bringing those men into Enoch's life. Blame the stars. If they had not given birth to our star system, none of us would be here, Christina offered, giving Christina a kiss on both cheeks. I'm for taking the fight right to Warren himself. Let's get the hell out of here and go pay that old goat a visit. You talk like you've been there, Moore asked as they all started moving for the door. Maybe we have all been there, she said with a wink. Christina trembled as she hoisted his arm over her shoulder. Below, he saw strings of head and tail lights crossing the canal, flowing over the hump serpent of the Dumbarton Bridge. Lights slid comfortably over the gentle tail of the bay, 50 miles south of shoals and riptides of seven rivers, churning out to meet Pacific Ocean crashing in. I don't think Corner knows what he wants. He was muttering about them pulling the trigger, said Quisanda, firing up the BMW. Them. Yes. Corner has told me about them. When he shot me, it was them pulled the trigger. That is, he started talking this way after he got back from Vietnam, Moore replied, lowering the window, taking a deep breath as they headed out to the freeway north to San Francisco. When Corner called to tell me he had found Dart, Christina said from the back seat, I was reading a 2,000-year-old scroll fragment from Qumran on the Dead Sea. It said, all people reject evil, yet evil advances. And truth is esteemed in the utterance of all nations, yet is there any tongue or language that grasps truth? What nation wants to be oppressed by another who is stronger? Who wants his money to be stolen by a wicked man, yet what nation has not oppressed their neighbor? Where are the people who have not robbed the wealth of another? You could lift those 2,000-year-old words and paste them on any newspaper today. Of such is the duplicity of any denial of it, a duping of anybody or any measly thinking of it in toward a twisting into mirrored y'all as existing. We all still turn in toward believing the deceit, as X is merely a knowing why you're you in the first place, without a hair-fire desire to realize why. The inward captivity at attention must continue moment after momentum, lifetime after lifetime. Indivisible invisibility of me or you, Moore added, glancing at Quisanda. She had missed out on their why or why speak loopy dialectic. He wondered if it would be comprehensible or of value to her now. Am I missing something? Quisanda said. You guys sound like you're talking in some sort of XY code. Ever since my experience in RJ's pod, my DNA seems to be unwinding, untwisting the notion of a being seen in toward anybody appearing of it merely in any name alone. The ambiguous feeling of it is like an adopted style of dressing or walking or talking that is based on completely arbitrary inward factors. Asking of it why seems a good place to start finding the reality. Asking of it why are you now in any experience of it. Whoa, girl! Factors asking of it a la queen, Cat and K appearing it? You a being onto the dialectic of it? A la queen, estarete, a blackness in her eyes of everybody, she not my people, raped by man as mind without heart, asking of it why as Elohim, engineering man as mind captivated in word fear and loathing, or a being seen out in her eye of everybody, black as zany me. Moore felt a jolt from Quisanda's inward transcription of the ancient dialectic. Page 356. Quisanda, I'm feeling you are me. Girl, y'all don't never be knowing my black shit. Quisanda gave back with some attitude, then broke out with a broad grin caught in the glare of passing headlights. Just jiving you, Professor. Going to really appreciate your awareness of it in her eyes, Ion. Him? It? Now out in her eyes, and no knowing it turning black around. Death stalks us all. Still disappearing in her eyes, a power. A Psi whole power. Margot Christina gave with a straight face, but Quisanda cracked up at the wheel, nearly losing control of the Beamer. Obviously, y'all be sisters, duh. Moore laughed at the double entendre. Still, he felt a certain vengeance underlying the humor. a wave of retribution building into a tsunami. Now it seems we all in turn appear in her eyes, merely supernaturally appearing from above as below, appearing and gazing it out in ABCs of it being seen in a wave, funny action. A wave as now asking why, knowing out of it in words, as merged in her psi, hope our eyes, a la queen, of that in which appears anybody or any measly thinking of it in a while as any space and time now, asking of it why, knowing denial of it out in towards a twisting into appearing, a pairing of it out in formation. There I all appear of it in a why I appearing it from above as below, of a being why you're you, all in the first place, he thought. The code is why, or why now, y'all, as any supernatural thoughts of it as existing. The arbitrary mirror idea of it being seen still in the first place, now out, as any measly thinking of it as anybody is sheer folly. Of a why as ex-adding, duplicating of it out now, appearing, of it a being seen as any mere mirrored body based inward memory alone. The darkness has penetrated or been penetrated by the inward spell associated in a while with any name as anybody while DNA. Untoward a twisting as axis, painting power out in her eyes, leaping into a denial. Appearing of it now as ka now knowing, turning into ABCs of a being seen now out in toward a name alone. In her eyes, zapping a being seen in toward why eyes I on me, it seems that I of that I am is appearing supersonically, all trying as to explain indivisible invisibility of a being seen by now turning around as ka now knowing out denial of it. No knowing projecting, appearing it out in word as appearing information to be anybody or any meager thinking of it, invisibility now then, in that I'm mirroring it supernaturally as any thoughts of ABCs and information. Now a supersonic asking why of it, why, knowing out of it and toward a twisting into a denial of it still, a being seen, indivisible, silent, blissful invisibility, Christina offered without a trace of irony. A bliss. That is precisely my state of a being since the pod. That I'm awareness of invisibility disappearing, any trace of preoccupation in a name. Thank you for pointing that out. My problem now, though, is existential with a name, namely James Corner. Look, we all be turning into sisters here. Excuse my dick and balls, Moore replied. You're an artist, that's why you don't count. Why, good one. Why you're a born wise speaker. As much as Corner pisses me off, he's a pawn like us. A somebody he used to take the heat off Warren. He's one of those contracted to do the dirty work for the agency so they have plausible denial of his actions. Thus, he's never really one of them, he added, wrapping more gauze around his wounded knee. Them that pull strings and triggers. His self-hatred of them since Vietnam has eaten him alive from the inside till he's just a shell of the human I met in days of yore. Still, at times, Corner lives in my head. His exhalations are my inhalations, bringing me his thoughts into his way of thinking I am that guy to be used like him in some Machiavellian intel world order. He's more a product than a victim of his desires. He is a broken, twisted psycho man, Quasana rubbed the welt left from Corner's gun barrel under her chin, wind playing her hair as she now drove north. Stephen Rakitin paused before the hall mirror to adjust his tie. He checked his white gloves to detect any filth in the offices and boardroom. The atmosphere, charged with ozone and negative ions, registered near perfect on Rakitin's digital meter. He was ready for Warren's big event on the horizon. He walked through bronze doors to the elevator leading to Warren's eyrie and entered the office. Warren slumped in his wheelchair before a bank of monitors. Darkness is the element. Stephen Rakitin watched Warren's words scroll on a computer screen. In her eyes, zapping a now Y or E, ray body, ab, black body singularity, a common Maori as black around echoing a supersonic space in time now, into or out of which we all as humanity, asking of it why and use, chromosomes of man's mind or why we'll race to turn, churn, and burn in the or why of it being seen now appearing, information out in a while. Rakitin had been chewing on a being seen dialectic till he could no longer swallow any more of it. Then, try as he might, he could not seem to spit it out either. Over the last several years, his employer had been lifting it from lecture transcripts of that witch professor, Christina Shaughnessy. At first, Rakitin had found the dialectic intriguing, till realizing it displaced his identity, dissolved it like some acid, corroding any sense of an inward identity. Carefully, he'd reconstructed that identity phonographically with tapes and printouts of his DNA codes along with biographical sketches of his past history. His employer, Johnstone Warren, on the other hand, gave himself up to it completely. It seemed to fulfill a destiny of annihilation far beyond mere death of anybody. Though Rakitin could not explain it, he sensed a certain evil in it. When he'd approached Mr. Warren about his misgivings, his employer merely shrugged it off, saying evil was in the eyes of the beholder. Now he found his eyes drawn to the words scrolling the screen above. A space in time now, a wily duplicity of a being seen as thoughts in toward all a twisting into appearing by, oh, simple singular twist of fate, faith, family. I don't know what that means. Page 358. A 0 appearing as 8 by that twisting denial. A why now, a unknowing of it, a few, tut you are, a future feature of prototypical double agents of the great man as mind, or why now, agency of a memory, AFBI. Rakitin grimaced at this reference to what he knew of a powerful transnational cabal of intelligence agencies, loosely affiliated yet tightly gathering information on a level beyond normal human consciousness. Thus, he'd found agents at times infiltrating his dreams. Once again, Mr. Warren assured they were only doing their job, a job vital to an ancient program of that up until now Mr. Warren had served a vital function. Then came the evil witch and her damnable dialectic, eating away at the inward memory of it. In reality, as we all in turn now know it, he remembered that day, the fire in Mr. Warren's eyes, first hearing and recording of that professor's first use of it in her lectures, had somehow sublimely singed all the hair on his body. He'd found himself lost in a twin being, seen now knowing himself indivisible invisibility. Invisibility, even looking in a mirror, he found only a gaunt, starved, thin king of himself, merely mirrored as in a name alone. Appearing it out now as thought, supernaturally appearing of it out now a bi-ray duplicating us, a singular being now turning into a knowing out a between being, a between macro microcosmic space in time now means meaning of a now Y or Eve ray body, a cosmic microwave black around as king of it, why all the queen K and K of that, in which any A now why now you now Psi hope our potential God as say to be literally y'all any appearing of it out information as in toward a twisting into a singular now evre I merely appearing it out as a being seen in formation as a now why native slave serving our now a knowing function, a cunning deception of their own knowing out of it in a why I remit of or ya now as existing a have I've been seen eyes I on our painting echoing supersonically being seen in form mine a space in time now a while the native of denial, slave in toward a twisting into otherwise, or yet adding duplicating yad iota I that I am is a first personic person a her emit size, singing a silent a whole, a being seen a great man as mine, or why a future, a have you that you are all as named now, alone now knowing ignoring mind or why I memory or why I appearing it out now as thoughts as existing in word as existing by a black psi whole power as any appearing out of it a being lack now a space and time to be a gain disregarding a being complete darkness now to be by intent asking of it why any knowing out a measly thinking of it of a being seen appearing out in toward inform mind two of you as a being now knowing a now whitive slave to be our I've been I's purpose. Only fools if fools falling as leap understanding ABCs of a being seen in her eyes of everybody. Now understanding that inward spelling of it. Word mean is any sound now meaningless, knowing it out in a word freedom from that unique visual, y'all a point of view appearing from above in the first place. Keaton found some of Mr. Warren's dialectic straight out of a Lenin Mao Cultural Revolution playbook. Take it all back to zero, any nihilism. The indivisible individual, 1 million minus 1 million. The twist seemed to be Mr. Warren zapping and tugging on the towers of phonographic language. He once confided to Rick Keaton his research and development of supersonic viral weaponry that could microcosmically unwind the intward twisting of it into a being twin, a space and time of anybody as X adding duplicating space time. He spoke of the twin, which he called the tween, an irreducible mean between any great or small of it. Thus he, Keaton, found himself still even restoring his assumed biography. Once finding yourself irreducible, non-expandable, a being tween mean, he mused, meant finding yourself indivisible invisibility. You can wrap all the inward labels in the world on your memory of any or everybody still. Any cover is blown. Untwist that still singularity of a being seen now out, appearing by DNA, while of a knowing it as existing into twisting of it. Mr. Warren intimated that his intent still a being seen in a mirrored inward knowing out of it, a being beaming of it now, a knowing out virally, complete macro, microcosmic Ma's liberation. Liberation obtained supersonically by bios, acoustic, viral information, inflammation, burning up any situation. He called it ABC's cubic mirror house of cards as expiring data. He told how his weapon merely activated the inevitable fall in toward Taurus towers. When Rakitin asked if he meant inward or inward, Mr. Warren merely smiled with a look that left Rakitin feeling like the child asking if he, the son, or the sun. Supersonic radiation now means in man as mind of ABCs knowing out of in toward a twisting in two as above, so below. A twin being tween in a word freedom awareness between macro or microcosmic memory. A YI of man as mind, or a YI appearing and gazing out in toward now, a knowing out of it as zany appearance of it in a while, as eggs eating information of anybody, any biography. A great, deadly, enduring deception in toward a twisting into turning we all into or out of a black round echo of it now, knowing out of it a gain. Yet, now, knowing liberation of a being seen merely a gain, supernaturally as thoughts of any meager thinking of it, he thought. Rakitin cracked himself up, picking up on the double entendre of a being invisibility, seen a gain of it invisibility. Him now discerning the sheer wily while of a being seen turning a cosmic microwave black around echoing supersonically in toward thoughts of appearing a being seen merely in word alone. Invisibility now a wily cubic space and time information of ABCs of a being seen, a great house of cards. The sheer untoward twisted obscenity asking of it why any appearing of it invisibility. Appearing in any scant measly thinking of it. Of a why I being seen now to appear of it information still merely appearing, gazing it, invisibility. A while now out inward knowing of it, any wretched withered thinking of it. Our evolution. Liberation at attention captured, appearing of it, merely appearing it from above as below. A supersonic, supernatural, superimposed liberation of a being seen as zany inward thoughts of it. Rakitin found his attention moment by moment, our eye absorbed in a word freedom awareness of a being still, in the first place, indivisible invisibility, or alternatively, captivated at attention and name alone. Now, he saw any knowing it out for what it was, a way out in captivity. A captivity in word and any naming of it, yet aware of a wave duplicating duplicity and towards any out of it in her eyes of everybody, the sheer mass of it. Billions in her eyes, a psycho power, appearing and gazing it out of a black around. Page 360. A black around echo as cause y'all of anybody appearing out information a while. Out in a space in time now. Obscenity of a deadly untoward cunning duplicity of a being twin seen between macro or microcosmic memory from above as below. Of a being now asking why turning out a black around a knowing it while DNA. Awareness of the sheer deadly folly of it restored his revolutionary Russian soul. The great bear in mind, or soul, the arc soul, perceived arcing of it out here in her ma's eye, irradiating laughter, devouring it at black around in her eyes, alone indivisible invisibility of it all the while, in blood, in bone, here in her eyes, suffering of everybody crushed, understanding the weight of waiting on Jesus, a wide-eyed Zion, a Maz, black around body. Or y'all a sound of ray, body beaming, Maz, personic radiation, black around, a touching a zany or eve rating. This liberated or maddening dialectic infected Rakitan's mind. Literally, all Ma's why dialectic dispelled his inward mirrored notion of a being of anybody. Now, finding himself lost in a dissolution of a fundamental process of evolution, a untwisting of it. Looking in the mirror now, our eye reflected a mirrored, inward, hardwired massage field of energy. At attention, he found himself lost in a word freedom aware of awareness, in a why being seen, now, then, appearing, and gazing it out, invisibility now, in toward a knowing out of it, any field of view. An electromagnetic wave ray field, ascending with his beginning as thoughts, of playing out the role in long-term mind or why potential biocognition. It was now, then, as if he could no longer turn out knowing in toward his way back home in formation. And his intent to go there steadily diminished day by day, moment by moment. He steadily succumbed to that in the word freedom awareness of a being seeing still, indivisible invisibility, out in her eyes of everybody's potential, black Psycho power of bliss. Now, Mr. Warren's obsession with putting a face on it, on a face of it. It, a while now of his space and time out in her eyes of evil appearing in oil on canvas. Mass seduction of visual sound waves of her eyes on everybody. Evil, imagine supersonically in painting a painting in formation. Invisibility, supersonic waves of a biogenetically imagined image. A supersonic painting of a being seen out in virally engineered pigments, echoing self-replication in her eyes of everybody. Sometimes Mr. Warren's inward thoughts completely bewildered Rakitan, left him metaphorically wandering in the wilderness of an unhinged memory mind. A bewilderness. Warren's dialectic put as thoughts an enchantment on him. Once he found himself still recognizable after days of incoherence. Apparently he'd been a being seen wandering in a place impervious to inward thoughts. Still, he could not seem to keep his eyes off Mr. Warren's screening overhead. In our time, supersonic new research into proteomics of a Y-eye appearing and gazing it out inward now mimics as king of a Y, as cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness, searching or knowing out of it. That dark energy perceived our king of it with intent of a Y-eye appearing it out, word matter. A comic black around a Y-eye mirrors it now supersonically, supernaturally superimposed in words as zany thoughts information. Invisibility showing a now Y infinite micro macro Y-eyes widening rings in toward a twisting and twirl. Information and ABCs of it being seen out. A complexity of a now Y as existing information of protein variegation. A singular darkness, any energient wave, rollment with quantum gravity, waiting now with death, the Y perceived charges, the electromagnetic torus, loopy body to our eye, all eyes, appearing yet out in a space and time a while now, in a while still as thoughts of a Y-eye, supernaturally as existing functionally, all in toward a twisting and twirl, eyes of denial, DNA, I will. That paradox of now any knowing out of that, a curving knowing around rolls, or rolls of complete darkness. They stuff that black around as moss. Undetectable invisibility potential emitting any thinking of it or anybody. All right, reflecting out a black around echoing of it in her eyes, everybody in the or why. They now absorbs it in the or y as existing. A y as x. A yi appearing, gazing it out now mirrored inward as x heading. Double. Yod still mirror a yi am mirrored as x, yo. Pharaoh land a being seen still in the first place indivisible now, supernaturally divided by knowing out of it as any thoughts of a red sea, a ray-eyed seeing a word, invisibility of a BCs of being seen mirrored, rating it in toward mem or y now as any thoughts of it information. In a being seen in form as or 0 twisting into 08. With that simple twist as x heading, a duplicity of a yi appearing it mirrored out in toward a twisting into any DNA. Denial of it still a yi being seen singular. Invisibility as 0. 0 twisting appearing, gazing it into mirrored appearing information appearing as heta. A y, I being seen still at indivisible invisibility of any individual. Any individual. A being still in the first place awareness that I of I am is appearing and gazing it from above as below of a being, seeing freedom, freestanding, freed in a word, freedom awareness of it. Yet, in a while then, the any urge arises for Ma's appearing of it, mirroring a black around echo by sound wave eyes of everybody function. Here in her wave eye function appearing, gazing it out of it in a wave funny action. A yi appearing and gazing it out of now appearing of it as existing information merely in the or y now any me. A y bye baby still a being seen of a yi appearing and gazing it while DNA denial occurring, turning a black around echo playing out as existing in form as complete roles of the darkness perceived not to be of fools, de natives, or slaves by denying out arcing of it a y of ABCs, a being seeing it. That is in toward a twisting into one merely appearing of it in that simple singular twist of fate, faith, and family in any DNA, any denial of it, understanding in the or y inward mem or y of ABCs, spelling coded in any denial of it, kicked into roles, or y as x-planed or flattened out in existing fields of view of a yi appearing it from above as below, of a being, while DNA, denial of being instilled in the first place for supersonic person that I of I am is still out of it in her eyes of irradiating, perceiving complete roles or roles of the arc and essay turning a black around completely invisibility now with intent of ignoring it by a knowing out of it. Often a binary of now turning out as ka now knowing it into appearing information of it out in toward information as existing still a mere or why.